हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धेर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So in this 13th chapter, Bhagavan tells Arjuna that this body is called Kshetra, and the knower of the body is Kshetrajna. And he tells Arjuna that I am the Kshetrajna in all the bodies, right from Hiranyagarbha, Vaishvanara, all the devatas, all human beings, animal, birds, plant, all the bodies are called kshetras, and in all the kshetras, the Kshetrajna is Ishvara himself. Thereafter, Bhagavan gave the detailed description of the kshetra. Mahabhutanyahankaraha buddhiravyaktamevacha indriyani dashekancha pancachendriya gocharaha ichha dvesha sukham dukkham sanghatas chetana dhrutihi. All these are called kshetra. All of them are known. So we know them directly, we know them through inference, we know them through the help of the Shastras. All the kshetra are known. And the knower is Kshetrajna. And to gain knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna means to understand the Swarupa of Kshetra and Kshetrajna itself is called the supreme knowledge. We have to understand the real nature of the kshetra. See, when something is not known properly, then we misunderstand it. So, not knowing myself as Kshetrajna, I misunderstand myself to be this gross body or subtle body. And not knowing this kshetra properly, I again superimpose myself on that. I try to seek happiness in this world. So when I know the essence of kshetra and kshetrajna, I will become free of all the bondage. So after explaining what is kshetra, now Bhagavan has to tell us what is kshetrajna. But before revealing the kshetrajna, the nature of kshetrajna, Bhagavan indicates 20 values, 20 important disciplines, and they are all graded. And when we follow this discipline in our life, we become fit, qualified to comprehend the kshetrajna. Because the kshetrajna is so subtle, and kshetrajna is sakshat, that Brahma only. The word kshetra is also Brahma, but kshetra can be seen through our senses, can be understood with our mind, our intellect. But kshetrajna is very subtle. So to comprehend the kshetrajna, we need certain qualifications, certain discipline which we have to follow to prepare ourselves to understand the kshetrajna. So those disciplines are given here in the form of these 20 values. So we were seeing these values. We will chant the 7th verse again. Amanitvamadambhitvam ahimsakshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyam atmavinigraha. All these values are called jnanam because they help to acquire that supreme knowledge. So the first value itself is amanitvam, absence of manitvam, absence of pride, absence of that notion that I am great, I am greater than others. People have pride about their body, their wealth, their position, their talents. So absence of that is called amanitvam, means humility. Then adambhitvam, absence of hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is showing off, showing what we don't have. Or even if something is there, we want others to know about it. So we keep showing it to the world. So that is dambha. And through this dambha, abhiman, we gain that vicarious pleasure. Our ego gets satisfied. But should be avoided, should remove such negative qualities from our system. Then ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. Freedom from all himsa towards all beings. Then kshanti. Kshanti is forgiveness. Means not to get disturbed or not to let our mind get spoiled because of the negative behavior of people around us. Of course, we should respond to them accordingly, but it should not spoil our own mind. We should not become cynical. We should not become angry. We should not become disturbed by the negative behavior of the world around us. So that is a very important quality, ahimsa. Then kshanti. Kshanti means ahimsa and forgiveness. Forgiveness, I was telling. We should not get disturbed by the world around us. Then arjavam. Arjavam is straightforwardness. Means whatever we have understood and what we value and revere, we should express the same in our emotions and should express the same in our speech and also in our action. So we should integrate our personality around the supreme understanding, sublime understanding which we have. That is very important. Otherwise, our personality becomes crooked. We understand one thing, we speak something else, we feel something else, we do something else, then that is a crooked personality. And with such personality, we will not be able to recognize the supreme truth. So should cultivate this arjavam, this quality in our life. Then acharyopasanam. Acharyopasanam, Shankaracharya ji says, moksha sadhana upadeshtuhu acharyasya shushrushadi prayogena sevanam. To serve, to worship, to serve the acharya, the teacher, the guru, who gives us moksha sadhan, who teaches us moksha sadhan, who teaches us that knowledge, that path, gives us that wisdom which takes us towards moksha. He's called he's also called Sadguru. See, we have many teachers in our life. Right from birth, we come across various people, not only people, but various other beings also and situations which keeps teaching us. And with all their teaching, we become wiser. But all the knowledge of the world will not make us free from samsara. Only the knowledge which is imparted in our Upanishads will release us from samsara. Only by recognizing our own true self, we will become free. And the one who teaches us this knowledge is called Sadguru, is the Acharya, the greatest teacher. So here one of the sadhana, one of the discipline is to have proper rapport with our teacher by serving the teacher. It's very important because the teacher puts forth effort to teach us. We should also put forth effort not only to learn but also to serve. It's very important. Then only the cycle gets completed. Otherwise, it remains incomplete. We, according to our own capacity and our our aptitude, we can serve the teacher by giving our time and our effort, even through some objects of financially or through other seva. We keep serving the teacher so that we can develop that rapport with the teacher. And then we understand what the teacher is conveying to us. So this is being demonstrated in various ways in our scriptures also. So here Bhagavan talks about it as a very important quality. So Acharya Upasanam Moksha Sadhana Upadeshtuhu Acharya se Shushrushadi Prayogena Sevanam. In the 4th chapter also Bhagavan had hinted about this. कि तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्षन्ति ते ज्ञानम ज्ञानिनस्तत्वदर्शिनः. That we can gain this knowledge of the self by approaching the teacher, doing the seva of the teacher, doing namaskar to the teacher, and asking appropriate questions. Then the teacher will teach us. So Acharyopasanam. Then Shaucham. Shaucham is cleanliness, not only of the body, but to keep our mind also clean. Shankaracharya ji writes, Ki kaya malanam mrug jalabhyam prakshalanam antah cha manasah pratipaksha bhavanaya ragadi malanam apanayanam shaucham. That we should keep our body clean with water and soap or other things, but we should also keep our mind clean. Remove raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, all those mala which are there in our mind we should clean them through appropriate sadhana. Because if the mind is not clean, then whatever knowledge we gain, it gets colored by our negative thoughts. Then we don't understand the scriptures properly. It gets contaminated by the impurities which are there in our own mind. So when the mind is very calm, peaceful and clean, then what we hear, we can understand. And that understanding will take us forward in our spiritual journey. Therefore this Shaucha is also indicated here as Jnanam only. Then Stairyam. Stairya is what stira bhavo moksha marge eva krita adhyavasayatvam. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says that stairya means to have steadiness on the path of this spirituality which will take us towards moksha. Moksha marge eva krita adhyavasayatvam, to to take a firm resolve that I will walk this path and attain that moksha. Should have that firm determination, make attaining moksha as our only and supreme agenda, and with a firm resolve move towards it. See, this is very important, because when we take that firm resolve, then all our faculty works together towards that goal. If that firm resolve is not there, then all our energy gets dissipated in different channels. But when we make that firm resolve, then we start moving towards our goal with more properly, quickly and effectively. In the 9th chapter also we had seen Bhagavan giving the importance of firm resolve. There he had said that apichet suduracharaha bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. Bhagavan says, even if a person is very durachari in his past, but he makes a firm resolve, takes a firm decision that I will now follow this path and attain that Ishvara. I will give up all my negativities here and now and pursue this path, do all my sadhana sincerely with 100% dedication. Bhagavan says, with this resolution, that person should be considered sadhu only. Same thing is said here, kistairyam. One should have that firm resolve to walk on this path of moksha. Moksha marge eva kruta adhyavasayatvam. It's very important. Then Atma Vinigraha. What is Atma Vinigraha? Atmanaha apakarakasya Atma Shabdavachasya Karya Karana Sanghatasya Vinigraha. Svabhavena Sarvataha Pravrittasya Sanmarge Eva Nirodha Atma Vinigraha. See, Atma is that supreme self, is also called Atma, I. But at the level of ignorance, I identify with the body, with my mind, senses, and call all of them as I only. I call the body also I. So then all this body, mind, intellect are also indicated in a secondary sense as Atma. But they are hindrance, attachment and identification with this becomes an hindrance. So one should restrain, one should control this body, mind, senses, etc. and lead and make their activity conducive towards our goal. There is this natural tendency of the body to become lazy, to not do any work. Our mind also tend to become more and more rajasic or tamasic. See, to retain sattva guna is very difficult. Generally, we fall down from sattva gun to rajogun, from rajogun to tamogun. In the beginning, we have a lot of enthusiasm, then slowly we lose that enthusiasm. We become more and more lethargic and lazy and forgetful. But we need to control these tendencies of our body, mind, senses and lead them, make the activities conducive towards my goal. Hmm? So that is called Atma Vinigraha. Sanmarga eva nirodha Atma Vinigraha. So restraining their negative behavior make them conducive for attaining my supreme goal. Body will tend to become lazy, but we should put forth effort to keep it active so that it helps us to attain the goal. Mind, our senses tend to go towards the sense objects, sense pleasures, but to restrain them and make them helpful for my sadhana. See, as a sadhak, we need all help. We need the help of our body, mind, senses to take me forward. So it should be all this equipment should be kept under control and kept properly tuned to help me to attain my supreme goal. Just as when we have a vehicle, we should take care of that vehicle, clean it, and do the servicing of the vehicle so that we can drive and reach our destination properly. Similarly, all these body, mind, senses are like vehicles which have to be under our control and well tuned so that they can help us to attain the ultimate goal. So that is what is meant by the term Atma Vinigraha. Okay? Now further, in the next verse, Bhagavan talks about 3 more important qualities. Indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam. Bhagavan says, Indriyartheshu vairagyam. See, vairagya is also very, very important quality which will help us to gain that knowledge. And what is vairagya? Not to have that desire for indulgence in sense pleasures of this world or pleasures of the other world also. If something comes in our life, that is fine. But proactively one need not pursue these pleasures of this world and the other world. The mind should not be engaged in pleasure pursuits. Here Bhagavan says, Indriyartheshu vairagyam. Indriya are our sense organs and their artha are the 5 objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. There are only these 5 objects are there which make up this world. But there are so many varieties of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Varieties of them are. Millions of varieties are there. For example, our tongue, it just has got the ability to taste. But all of you know there are varieties of taste available in this world. Different types of food items. Every house who have that kitchen is like a research laboratory. Everyone involved in making some dish, different type of dish with special taste. So many shows are there on television also teaching us how to prepare different food items. So many books are there, so many different varieties of those food items are there. Wherever you go in the whole world, every place you find different types of food. and big research on that. What is made in one home cannot be duplicated in another home also. What is made by one person cannot be easily duplicated by another person. And then people get attached to this eating and they keep roaming around all over the world trying to eat different types of food. So not only taste, but fragrance, sight, sound, touch. These are the five sense objects. And when the senses come in contact with these objects, if they are conducive to my samskar, they give me pleasure. If they are not conducive, they give me pain, sorrow. But I forget the sorrows and then I want to pursue more and more pleasure. And as I pursue more and more pleasure, the senses also start becoming weak. So I make the pleasure seeking more intense then. So one gets attached to different types of pleasures of this world and one will never be satisfied completely because this cannot be satisfied. This craze cannot be satisfied. So as a seeker who is sincere in attaining that self-knowledge should not be attached to these pleasures of this world. For my living, food, clothing, shelter, whatever is required, we can take. But one need not get attached slavishly to these pleasures. So that is called Indriyartheshu Vairagyam. And we will find that suddenly we have so much of time also and so much of peace one can experience. Kasya sukham na karoti viragah. Vairagya makes a person very happy and Vairagya makes a person fearless also. Vairagyameva abhayam. Vairagya makes a person fearless and peaceful and happy, not cynical, not cruel. So one should develop this quality through proper vivek, by proper contemplation and thinking. Think where lies the real happiness. See, these pleasures and all just stimulation of our senses. Even the sukha is a quality of the mind only, which we have seen. It is also kshetra dharma. Sukha and dukkha are kshetra dharma. They are not the dharma of the kshetrajna. Kshetrajna is of the nature of ananda. And there is no opposite, there is nothing against ananda. If you have sukha, then against that sukha is dukkha. They are part of the dvandva. Ananda of the self is not part of dvandva. It is dvandva-atita. So one should seek the self, the supreme self, and not get attached to the pleasures of this world. So indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha. Another quality is anahankar, absence of ahankar. What is this ahankar? We have seen before also. What is ahankar? See, the actions happen through our body, our senses, our mind, according to our samskar, and with the blessings of Ishvara, with the blessings of Hiranyagarbha, Vaishwanara, all activities happen. But we claim those activities upon ourselves. I say, I have done it, I achieved it, I have mastered it. So I claim those activities as my own. That is ahankar. For example, even simple things like eating. I eat, it gets digested, but I claim it very forcefully that I am the one who has eaten, I am the one who is eating. But so many processes which take place within the body when a food goes inside, digestion, circulations, and so many juices are getting secreted, and all sorts of process happen in our what you call digestive system, the small intestine, the large intestine, and all sorts of things happen. I don't even know what is happening inside, but then I say I ate and I digested. So that claim which we have is called ahankar. Really speaking, all the activities which are happening in our waking state is conducted, is controlled by Vaishvanara. Our mind is also controlled by Hiranyagarbha. See, when we go to sleep, when we dream, we have no control over that dream. What type of dream I will dream, I don't know. It is being given to me, whatever dream, by that Hiranyagarbha. Then the dream comes to an end and I go into deep sleep state. Who makes me go into deep sleep state? Ishvara. Who wakes me up from the deep sleep? Ishvara. So my waking, dream, deep sleep, all these are taken care of by Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Vaishvanara. But I claim all this upon myself. So ahankara vimodhatma karta ahamiti manyate. So one who wants to gain that supreme knowledge of the self should contemplate on this deeply and drop this notion, false notion of ahankar. This is something which we have to contemplate, understand at a deeper level. It is not something to be told to the world that I am not eating, I am not walking. It is not meant for declaration, but it is something which we have to understand at a deeper level. Then this ahankar will get dropped. Then we will know that I am not the doer of all these actions. Like we have seen in the 5th chapter also, the self-realized master, he sees all the actions happening, but he knows that I am not doing anything. Naiva kinchit karomi te pashyan shrunvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapan shvashan. All these activities are happening, but I am not doing anything. They are all happening in Prakriti. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashah. All these actions are happening in Prakriti. So with this deep reflection and understanding, we will be able to drop this ahankar. So this is a very subtle sadhana. So indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha. Then janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanudarshanam. So vairagya, Bhagavan has said, but how can we attain that vairagya? How this vairagya come? When we Not only it comes through Viveka, but it also we can develop this Vairagya by seeing the defects in the things which we are attached to. We are attached to so many things. So if we see the other side, it is called the Pratipaksha Bhavana, to see the defects in them, to see the dosha in them, then our mind will get withdrawn from it. Like you see something very nice thing to eat, and you develop that desire to eat that. People go on the street and they want to eat something, so they order it, and as they are eating they just notice how it is made and how those flies are flying everywhere and how the utensils are so dirty and not being cleaned properly. When we see all this and that plate is in our hand, we will not be able to eat it then. We will just drop it and walk away. Similarly, we are attached to a lot of things in this world, but if we see the other side of these objects, we will develop that Vairagya. So here Bhagavan is saying that Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshanam. We should see dosha, defects, in what? Janma, in our birth, Mrityu, in death, Jara, in old age, Vyadhi, in disease, Dukkha, in all sorrows. See dosha in them. All that we are attached to is not something which is very sublime, very great. It gives more sorrow than joy. So Shankaracharya ji in his commentary he writes कि जन्म च मृत्यु च जरा च व्याधय च दुःखानि च तेषु जन्मादि दुःखान् तेषु प्रत्येकं दोषानुदर्शनम. In all this, each one of them, to see the dosha. What is the dosha? He says janmani garbhavasa yonitvara nissaranam dosha. See, birth itself is dosha only. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. A person dies and is born again. Or we go to some other lokas. If we have done punya, we go to Swargaloka, Papa, then Narakaloka. Or sometimes Papa, because of Papa, we are born in some lower yonis. Pashu, Pakshi, Ped, Paude. And it is not full of fun there. Lot of sorrow, pain, trouble, fear. Lot of suffering is there in all these various yonis. And to get a human birth is very rare. So once we leave this body, when we will again get human birth, we don't know. Because the whole process is so difficult and so rare that to again get a human birth is very, very difficult. It might take many, many yugas maybe. So next time when we are born as a human being, even if we are born in the same country, they say the whole outer world would have changed so much. Everything would have changed. After 10,000 years or 20,000 years, if we are born again, everything will be different only. You will not recognize your Karol Bagh. So, Janma is a dukkha, to be born again and again is dukkha only. Not only janma, but mrityu. Mrityu is also dukkha. Because after a lot of struggle, if we are born, it doesn't mean we will be living alive for a long time. Mrityu doshanudarshanam. In mrityu also, there is a lot of sorrow, pain. Because after living in one body for a long time, we get so attached to that body that we don't want to leave it. We get used to it. We don't want to leave. Then even with lot of suffering and pain and trouble in the body, we don't want to leave that body. We will try all sorts of tricks to maintain the body. And as the body grows old also, we want to again maintain the youthfulness of the body. But it keeps on growing. The hair turns grey, so we want to color it. The teeth starts falling, so we want to put a duplicate one. The face starts falling down, so we want to lift it, face lifting. First we do weight lifting, then we start doing face lifting. But it doesn't last. The body falls down, then others have to lift the body. So in mrityu also there is so much of dosha, that it is not something great. So one should see it to gain that vairagya. One should become aware of it to gain vairagya. Even now, with this pandemic, so much of sorrow, suffering is happening everywhere. We are sitting comfortably in our own homes. We may not be aware, but a lot of things are happening. And this pandemic, they don't know what is happening with it. Suddenly the cases starts rising. Then the hospitals are all full. People are struggling everywhere. So there is so much sorrow in that. So janma, mrityu, jara, old age. Old age also is full of sorrow because there is paravashata. And also one has to depend on somebody else then. That dependency keep on growing. Our faculties start becoming weak. Angam galitam palitam mundam dashana vihinam jatam tundam vruddho yati gruhitva dandam tadapi namunchati asha pindam. Still our desires and attachment doesn't go away, but our body start becoming weak. Even simple activities we can't do properly. Even the regular activity of the body which we were taking for granted doesn't happen properly. Our digestion, our respiration, all those circulations and the nervous system and all these different organs, the pancreas and the gallbladders and the intestines and all those things, suddenly we heart and we become aware of them also. See, when the whole thing is healthy, we are not aware of the body. But when some problems start happening, we start becoming aware of different parts of the body also. So in the jara, old age also, there is dukkha, dosha. Dosha is there in that. Also people get neglected, nobody asks. Elderly people are not respected properly in some homes, or they are sent away from homes. So a lot of sorrow is there. Then vyadhi, different types of disease. And disease can come in whatever age. It is not that old age disease come. It can come in childhood, it can come when we are youth. at whatever age, different types of disease, they just come. Because this body is made up of matter and it is constantly active, it's dynamic, and it is kept nourished by the food which we eat and other things. So it's like a machine which is constantly in motion. But like any other machine, sometimes there is a breakdown, some parts get spoiled, some trouble take place. So Vyadhi, Shiro Rogadishu Doshanudarshanam, some headache, stomach ache, kidney failure and all those things. Dukkha. Then dukkha itself is a dosha. Dukkheshu, there are different types of dukkha. Adhyatmadit bhutadi daiva nimitteshu. Adhyatmic sorrow due to our own body, mind, intellect. Then the adi bhautik causes for our sorrow, the surrounding place and people and objects and beings. Or adi daivik causes of sorrow, some famine, war, pandemic. These are adi daivik causes of sorrow. They also give trouble. So to see dosha in each of them, janma dosha, mrityu dosha, jara dosha, vyadhi dosha, dukkha also dosha, is one meaning of this sentence. But another meaning is to see dukkha in all of them. Janma is dukkha, mrityu is dukkha, jara is dukkha, vyadhi is dukkha. So Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes, Athava dukkhani eva doshaha, dukkha doshaha. Dukkha itself is dosha. And that dukkha is there in each and every one of them. So Janma also is dukkha, mrityu is dukkha, jara is dukkha, vyadhi is dukkha. And the dukkha itself is the dosha, is the defect. See, if that dukkha defect was not there, then everything would have been beautiful only. The world would have been good. Then there was no need for moksha. But dukkha, nobody wants. We don't want dukkha. If there was only pleasure, there was only happiness in the world, then nobody would have bothered about this moksha. But that doesn't happen. Everyone experiences dukkha. Sarvam dukkham dukkham, sarvam kshanikam kshanikam. Everything is sorrowful, everything is temporary. So that dukkha itself is dosha. And when we become aware intensely of this dosha, we will gain vairagya. See, all these things are said so that we become aware and gain vairagya. Because unless we become aware, we will not gain vairagya. We will be like sleepwalking in this world. Another very interesting thing Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji writes, कि दुःख निमित्तत्वात् जन्मादयः दुःखम न पुनः स्वरूपेण एव दुःखम इति. See, all the janma, mrityu, jara, they become cause for our sorrow. Sorrow is not the nature of this, but it becomes cause of sorrow because of our faulty relationship with this world. Not understanding the swarupa of the world, not understanding my own swarupa, I have faulty relationship with the world, which causes sorrow. Sorrow is not the swarupa of this world. The swarupa of this world is also Brahma, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Anandam Brahma. But because of our faulty relationship, we experience sorrow, pain, trouble. So, evam janmadishu dukkha doshanudarshanat Dehendriya Vishaya Bhogeshu Vairagyam Upajayate. So when we become aware of the dosha, the defects in the objects of this world, in the different aspects of this world, due to our faulty relationships, when we become aware of the dosha, the defects, then we gain vairagya. So tata pratyek atmane pravrittihi karananam atma darshanaya. And when we gain vairagya, we get inspired to move towards self-knowledge. We strive to gain moksha. See, one who is experiencing thirst will look for water everywhere. One who has experienced pain deeply will look for release from this pain. Similarly, one who has experienced sorrow at a deeper level will seek happiness. But one is not aware of this sorrow, pain, is totally blinded by the world, will not seek that moksha, will get stuck in this only. See, like a bird, when it is kept in a cage, it suffers. It gets restricted. It can't fly freely. But when that bird is kept for a long time in the cage and you keep feeding the bird, after some few weeks or months you open the cage, still the bird is hesitant to fly away. It gets used to that sorrow, pain, trouble, fear, bondage also. Then some other bird comes and tells, "Arey, kya kar rahe? Fly away. There is more joy in freedom." Then that bird gets courage and flies away. Similarly, the teacher and the scriptures tells us to break all these shackles and become free. Don't get used to your sorrow, pain, trouble. Become free of this samsara by striving, putting forth effort to gain that proper knowledge and become free. Okay? More about this we will see in our next class. Tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday we will have 2 days holiday. We won't have this class. We will continue with our class on Monday. Okay? So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. Contemplate on these shlokas and develop these qualities and move towards your goal of moksha. Okay? And we will meet again on Monday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Bali Syavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।